Hi everybody, it's Gemma. Welcome back to Pampered Wolf. Today we are going to be doing an affordable foundation review. I love affordable foundation reviews. I just feel like there is a chance I am going to find an absolute hidden gem that does not cost the earth, that we're all not going to have to save for months on end to actually go out and purchase. This is for practically anyone's budget. If you are after a new foundation, then this one may be for you. Today, we are going to be reviewing the Rimmel Lasting Radiance Foundation. Supposed to give medium coverage, this one. Let's do a little bit of bump and then we'll get some on my face. So before we jump in, please make sure you have liked, you have subscribed, and you've hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. I'm also on Instagram if you want to follow me on there. It's @pamperedwolf, all lowercase, no spaces. So this is the Rimmel Lasting Radiance Foundation. This is not a brand new foundation. It's been around for a really long time. In fact, I don't think this is even Rimmel's newest foundation. I think they brought out a really long-lasting matte foundation. So if you want me to review that one as well, please do let me know in the comments section if there's enough of you, if there's enough demand. I will definitely get onto buying that one and I will show you how it wears throughout the day. So, Rimmel Lasting Radiance Foundation, £9.99 in the UK, 30 mils worth of product. It only comes in 12 shades. Not good, 12 shades. However, it is quite a broad spectrum of shades. There's just very little to choose from, so good luck finding your colour match. This will give medium coverage and it gives a radiant, poreless glow to the skin. Not quite sure what that means at this stage, but I'm expecting it to be very radiant and yet quite airbrushing at the same time. Fingers crossed that is correct. This contains luminosity boosting pearls in here, so it's very, very similar to an illuminating primer with those illuminating pearls. It's going to make your skin look really radiant, really glowy, just absolutely beautiful without looking overly dewy. This also has peptides in here to increase skin's elasticity, and it also is packed with antioxidants to fight off any damage from any pollutants in the air. Has an SPF of 25 in here. Please don't just use the SPF in this because you'll probably be getting an SPF of around about 3 with the amount of product that you will be putting on your face. So do not rely on the SPF in here, but it does have an SPF of 25. So if you are sensitive to SPFs, you might want to give this one a miss. This also does contain quite a high content of talc in here, but no alcohol that I can actually see in the ingredients list. So you've got to weigh it up. If you don't like talc, this also isn't going to be for you. This is also a scented product, which is a little bit disappointing, but it is what it is. Let's get some of this on the face. Okay, so as per usual, I already have all my skincare on my face and I've given that plenty of time to sink in before I'm applying the foundation. Also, I do not have a primer on my skin. I never wear a primer on foundation wear test days because primers can really affect the longevity and how the foundation looks. So unless you go out and buy the exact same primer, you are not going to get the same look to this foundation. So I always do my foundation reviews without primer, and then you can always add a primer yourself to make this foundation last a little longer or to smooth everything out. But this is just going to be on bare skin. Well, bare skin that already has skincare on anyway. Okay, so I'm going to give this a little bit of a shake. I am going to be applying half of the face with a brush and half of the face with a sponge. The brush I'm going to be using today is the Brush Junkie Foundation Buffing Brush. So as you can see, this is quite a creamy consistency. It's standing proud from the hand, but if I do tilt my hand down, it will run. So it's not uber stiff, but it's not super, super runny as well. So let's get some of this on. This feels quite creamy when it's going on the skin. By the way, if you didn't catch it in the bump, this does have a scent to it. It's quite a perfumey scent rather than a fruity, sickly scent. It's not overpowering and it definitely doesn't offend me, but you do need to know if you are sensitive to scents that this one definitely does have one in. So this is going on really, really beautifully. I'm not applying a lot of product. It's definitely not going on medium coverage. I mean, it's not covering up very much. I've got a little blemish here that it's not even touching, but it is quite a nice finish on the surface of the skin. Very radiant. Okay, so I've used around about a full pump of the foundation on this side of my face. I really like how it looks. It's a beautiful finish. I did try this out on the back of my hand when I was trying to find my colour match, and I can say that the pearlescent particles in this did make my skin look very sparkly in the light. So if you are not after that really illuminating look on the skin, this foundation may not be for you, but I find that it's really quite flattering on the skin without being overly dewy. You get that beautiful radiant finish without looking sweaty, if you know what I mean. Really vile. Anyway, let's do the other half with a sponge. Now, obviously you are going to get less coverage with a sponge, but to be fair, I don't feel like I'm getting a lot less coverage with a sponge. So in the bump, you'll have heard me say that this is supposed to give a poreless finish, even though it's a radiant foundation. And I can say that my pores at the moment aren't looking emphasized. They're not looking airbrushed, but they're nowhere near as bad as they would have been with a dewy foundation. Okay, so it is buildable. And I do like the coverage of this foundation. So you can get really sheer coverage with this if you use a sponge, but you can also get a low medium coverage with this as well. Okay, so I really like that. It's a really good shade match for me. So that is the shade 070 in Porcelain. Really liking that. I'm gonna go and put the rest of my products on and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the finished look for today. I've gone for something really simple to showcase the foundation because the foundation is really the star of the show today. It's very, very glowy. I've just been in natural lighting and gone, whoa, that really is illuminating on the skin. This foundation is not going to be for everybody, but I mean, I really like it. Let me show you this in natural lighting. So this is a really, really lightweight foundation. It's radiant rather than dewy, but it definitely is very radiant. It dries down well. It doesn't feel tight on the skin. It definitely doesn't feel drying on the skin either. It hasn't sank into any of my fine lines or pores. There's a little bit sat in the dryness on my skin, but you would have to get really up close to actually notice that. This has definitely oxidized though. My skin is looking a lot darker than it did when I first applied the foundation with it, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's just one of those things. Some foundations do oxidize, so maybe when you're picking out your shade, just make sure that you understand that and maybe go for something a little bit lighter. So this has definitely got a slight tackiness to the surface of the skin. It definitely hasn't dried down 100%, which is not going to suit everybody. In fact, one of the hairs has just stuck to this side of my cheek, so I do know it is quite tacky, especially on this side. Having said that, my forehead is hardly tacky at all. It's only really tacky on the areas that I applied 2 layers of product to try and build up the coverage. So please just bear that in mind. If you are wanting a full medium coverage or even a light medium coverage, you are going to have to apply 2 layers of this, and it is going to remain quite tacky on the surface of the skin for some time. I'm not quite sure when it's going to dry down yet, but it definitely hasn't fully dried down in the areas that have 2 layers of product on there yet. So one other thing I wanted to mention before I get on with my day is that all my other products applied beautifully on top of this foundation, apart from a little bit of cream blush that I tried to apply with a damp blending sponge. I always apply my cream blushes with a damp blending sponge rather than my fingers. I think it would have been better with my fingers because the damp blending sponge did try and lift the foundation in my cheek area, which is again the area that I applied 2 layers of product. So I'm gonna get on with my day. I will check in with you a little bit later on. See you in a bit. Welcome back to the check-in. It's now been just shy of 10 hours since I first applied this foundation to my face, and I look like I took my head to Jamaica and left the rest of my body behind. Look at the different colour. I have got more and more tanned as the day has progressed. This foundation seriously oxidizes, and I am super glowy right now. Really super glowy, to such an extent I bumped into one of my friends after around about 5 hours of having this foundation on my face, and we don't really do insults. She was trying to be so kind and she just went,
"Ooh, you're very shiny."
I just thought,
Yes, I am. I'm very shiny.
Anyway, I took a little bit of a video after approximately 6 hours of having this foundation on my face. So come a little closer, get up close and personal, and really have a look what this looked like after 6 hours. So as you can see, slightly breaking down. It's not super unattractive. You wouldn't say that this is unwearable. You wouldn't say it's disastrous. But it is super glowy. It's very sparkly. If you are after a foundation without sparkle in it, then this probably is not going to be for you. Also, this is going to be absolutely terrible for anybody with even slightly oily skin. I have dry skin, and after around about the 5 hour mark, this was starting to break down on me and looked quite oily. So if you've got oily skin, really stay clear of this foundation. Let me show you what this actually looks like now, because I haven't taken one in natural lighting. Look at this. It's come off on my chin here, and it's still attached to a little bit of dryness, but you can see every single pore that I have on my face. It started to break down around my nose area and just look a little bit cakey. All of the pores on my forehead are seriously visible. All the texture is really visible on my skin, and the different colours are slightly off-putting, considering when I first put this foundation on I thought this was a really good colour match for me. Slightly different now. So apart from that, this foundation has felt really lightweight and hydrating on my skin throughout the day, but after around about 4 hours it started to feel a little bit warm on my skin, which is not a feeling that I find overly pleasant. Rather than wearing this foundation on my skin, I think I would prefer to wear an illuminating primer underneath a foundation that's slightly less glowy. That way I can be in control of where I have the radiance on my skin, because this level of radiance all over is just slightly too much for me. As well as that, this foundation has transferred onto absolutely everything. It's on my hands, it's on my phone, it's on my coat, it's on my jumper. It's just not stayed on my face, which is probably why it's gone off my chin as well. My skin doesn't feel oily, it just looks oily, so that has been an issue for me. Now again, like I said at the beginning of this video, I did not use a primer underneath this, which would help this foundation and its longevity and probably tone it down a little bit, and I also didn't use a setting spray over the top of it. Both of those things will help increase the longevity, tone down the shine, and make this last a little bit longer. But I never use those things on a foundation review, especially on a wear test. And this one has slightly failed for me today, which is a real shame because I thought it looked really beautiful right at the beginning when I first applied it. It just didn't last very long. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you found it useful in some way, even if it is just to have a really small or even a really large giggle at my expense, and the two-tone look that I am absolutely slaying in my opinion. Completely rocking this look, may even start my own fashion trend. Everyone will be doing it next week, believe me. Anyway, I'm gonna go and take this off now and probably get into my pajamas. Hope to see you all in the next video. Bye.